What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to YGOPD, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Professional Development, and today I am excited to bring with you a deck analysis for the deck I had featured a couple weeks ago due to kind of some popular demand and feedback both through here and through Facebook. This is the Brigade Adventure Punk deck that I had showcased. It has gone through a little bit of changes, so I'll obviously run through the main deck real quick, give you a quick analysis of the deck, showcase some of the math behind it, showcase some of the interactions that the deck has specifically, do some basic combos, and then showcase some live test hands here on the mat. And of course, before I do that, we will go ahead and give a quick sub shout out to our newest public subs of the channel: Fire Eagle, Marshawn, Sagai, Jason, Edmund, and Sparkman. Thank you all so much for joining the channel. If you would like to be a part of the next sub shout out when you subscribe, please make sure that your subscriptions are public so that I can see who you are when you sub. And please, as always, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It really does help the channel. I can't tell you how much that means. And with all that said, let's not waste any more time and go ahead and hop into the quick deck update / deck profile. Okay, so I will go ahead and update the deck. As I said, this is kind of my work in progress for Nats. I feel very confident about this build. I've gone through some testing and some mock-ups with it, and I'm getting a little bit closer to a build where I feel really comfortable. Also, please let me know if you enjoy the new view. Got a new mount, has a nice clean top-down view, hoping that will be a little bit better for you guys. But we'll go ahead and start and just do it by engine. And we'll start with, of course, the Brigade engine. A lot of this will be self-explanatory. Won't hit on it too long, but we have the 3 Fractal using its effect to send a Kit from deck to grave. And then obviously Kit's effect will let us send the Nerval from deck to grave. And then playing 3 of each of those, of course. And then obviously we play 2 Kairos, which is what we're adding off Nerval. Because we play the Adventure Engine again, we want to get 2 Kairos. That's kind of the name of the game. Also, you know, Kit and Nerval function really well with the discards off of both Foxy, Kairos itself, and the Adventure Engine. So there's a lot of different ways to utilize that. So that's it for that. And then the last monster that we're including in the Tri package is one of the Fabled Cerebral. I added this in. It fixes a lot of problems the deck has if you just open Brigade names. And that goes for any variant, whether you're on Lyrilisc, Pure with Rescue Cat, some other random blend. Cerebral, the one of, really does fix the problem. It feels really good. Sometimes getting this off of Hulk even comes up and feels kind of nice. So definitely recommend throwing that in there. And then to round out the engine, we just play, of course, the 2 Tanky and the 1 Revolt. Pretty straightforward there for the Tri side. Don't want to get too much in-depth into it. If you want to see a more in-depth discussion of it, check out the deck profile from a couple weeks ago. And then we'll go ahead and switch to the Adventure package. It's about as standard as you can get. 3 Water Enchantress and 3 Right, along with the 1 Honorary Foolish Burial. This is your 7 starters to get your Omni Negate in the form of Griffin. Don't play a Legal Knight. You don't need it. Griffin is the focus as long as it is alive, as well as the fact that, you know, the Wing Beast part comes up as well. You can play more, but again, 1 is perfectly fine for this build. We're pretty tight on space. But again, the 1 Draco back and the 1 Fateful, pretty standard for the Brave package there. Moving on to the Punk engine. It's a little bit different, and I've kind of updated this a little bit too to make things a bit more clean. We play 3 Emergency Teleport, 3 Foxy Tune, and just the big notable interaction is Foxy Tune is a beast, so that helps you get names for Kairos, searches an additional discard for Kairos. We'll get into a little bit of the interactions a little bit later. And then we added the 1 Ogre Dance. This matters to specifically make sure Foxy by itself is a starter should you just open it, because getting Foxy into Xiamen without any other play, it's just a 3-star tuner. It doesn't do anything. So you can at least Foxy into Xiamen to add then Ogre Dance, to get rid of Ogre Dance to add a Xiamen or any other level 3 punk that you wish to normal summon. And then from there, your options are open to cards like Cherubini to get the Adventure package. If you're doing that, I typically use it just directly for the Hulk line. But again, it guarantees you get 2 tuners on board, which is really what matters in this case, 2 level 3s. And then rounding out that engine, we just play the double Z Ammon. No Madam Spider, no Deer Note. You don't need any of that extra stuff in here. Doing the Chaos Ruler line is not the focus because it's too redundant in this build. You already go through Tri lines so quickly that you just, by that time, you're either milling additional Tris and additional Brave stuff when you've already cycled through it. It's not helpful. So this is really all you need. Synchronizes well with Kairos to make Nat Beast. Obviously does the Hulk line, a few other pieces that we'll get into in the interaction section in a little bit. And then the 2 kind of outliers of the deck are obviously just the 1 Scythe and the 1 Jet as part of the standard combo. And then the last 5 cards of the deck, rounding it out at 41, are defensive cards. The disclaimer is, yes, I'm aware that is the biggest struggle of the deck, is fitting in those defensive pieces. So the route I kind of chose to take after updating it was playing cards that get you as much value as possible going first or second to be able to play through boards, break boards, that type of deal. 2 Droplet. We are on 2 Tactics and the 1 Called by the Grave. I will say from testing, I don't think this is enough. I really don't want to go above 40. I'm already at 41, but in testing, it'll probably be worth to bump this up. Gamma is an absolutely insane card right now, and the meta just keeps shifting, honestly, from week to week as people are learning that most people are defaulting onto the Hulk line. Nib is becoming more popular again, so it's just kind of a guessing game for a week or two till the format really closes in on Nats. But this is what I'm testing right now, and I'm happy with it. But again, there definitely needs to be more space, so they'll probably be updated as we go on. But just want to acknowledge that elephant in the room, that having not many defensive cards is a weakness of the deck, but the big positive is all 3 engines can create elements of negates or disruption going first and break boards going second. So we'll hop into the extra deck. This has also had just a couple slight changes. We'll go ahead and just showcase the 2 main link 4s here. 1 Access Code, 1 Appaloosa. You're going first of choice, and you're going second of choice for your link 4s. We also play the 2 Sure Egg. 2 is perfectly fine. That is all you need. 1 is to go through, cycle through the combo. The other is just for follow-up to help close out games. For the link 3s, I went back in on Rugal. I had been back and forth on between Rugal and Farragut in this deck. You do the bear line so much that you don't really ever use Farragut, but this comes up enough where your hands are awkward and you only get 3 names engraved for Kairos, so you still might want to do something like linking away bear if you don't have enough ways to discard or whatever to at least end on Rugal Revolt, or if your hands are awkward enough, you can, at least do this with Kairos to make an Appaloosa for 2. It just kind of fills the spots to help play through hand traps a bit better than Farragut does, unlike Farragut filling a much better role in the Lyrisk Tri-Brigade build. So and then obviously the 1 bear as our main Tri-Brigade link 2, along with the other link 2 of choice here for the double Dragon Lord. Again, you can cut this for Farragut, but there are times where ending on like this plus Nat Beast is a big part of the combo. And if you really need to link this away, ideally you're making a board where whatever you're making has a higher impact than just the double Dragon Lord would by itself. So if I had the choice between just Farragut or this, I would rather pick the disruption in this case. And so far it's been fine. Haven't had any complaints with it. And then obviously just the 1 Scythe and the 1 Dagda for the typical Scythe combo here. Go ahead and get those out. And then kind of fix something a little bit here, maybe to make lighting a little bit better. The 1 Link Karibo and the 1 Salomon Great Almirage. These are both needed for now. Almirage is a spot you can consider cutting if you want to put Farragut back in, but it still comes up just enough that I want to keep it in. Helps if you normal summon Kit, Nerval, or something and have no other plays, need to cycle in a way to search names. This fits that bill. And Link Karibo is obviously just for the Jet Synchron route to guarantee the 1 card Hulk through the Punk engine. And then the Synchros, the last part of the extra deck, and probably the strongest point of where this deck excels, is obviously the 1 Baron and the 1 Wonder Magician to synchro with the Scythe to then make Baron. You, of course, can also use Nat Beast, depending on how your end board is, to make Baron should you need to. But those are our 3 main synchros. And then the last one that we have added is 1 Herald of the Arclight. This goes in with the Cerebral combo for the Tri-Brigade stuff that helps fix a lot of problems this deck had, in forms of putting an Omni Negate on the board, even when you just have just tries. And the Floodgate effect now, with Punk being everywhere, the milling stuff with Chaos Ruler, Flunder trying to discard and things like that. It's just, or not Flunder, but you get the point. There's a lot of other decks, Droplet, sorry, that turn stuff off. So it just fixes a lot of issues that the deck has with being able to do that line. So for the side deck, again, a few slight changes. My favorite change so far is triple Solemn Judgment in the side. Yes, time rules exist. Yes, that sucks. But the point of Solemn Judgment is to solidify that the board you have established. So when your opponent, you're usually ending on Nat Beast plus a bunch of other stuff. Nat Beast is really your key point of crippling the opponent's deck. And every time I make Nat Beast, it's like they hard open Dark Ruler, Imperm, whatever, Droplet, the main card to out it. They somehow draw it. So like turning that off and then they have no other answers after that has been really important. And if they don't have the answer, hitting their 1 starter or letting them do their full combo and just hitting them at that choke point is really, really good. So Solemn definitely is a powerful card for that going first piece. And then we just added in one Lancia. Lancia is mainly just for a few other things, but a lot of times going second, I kind of wanted to side out the Scythe because it wasn't that great. And I always kind of had this one spot I needed to fill, and still being able to do something off the Hulk line to get Lancia should they smoke screen and force you to go first is nice. And again, it's still a level 5, so it can still fulfill that piece for TG Wonder Magician, or if you just need to use it as the hand trap itself, you can do that too. So, and then the going second pieces, we have triple Dark Ruler No More. This is just probably, again, one of the best cards of the format, next to Droplet, just turning off everything and then being able to do exactly what you want is really needed right now. And then in line with that, we play the 2 Lava Golem. This synchronizes really well with the deck. You don't need your normal summon almost 9 times out of 10. And, this you can always just, because people are so focused on the Scythe lock or the Calamity lock, you can activate a card like Fateful. They're not going to do anything yet because they want to wait and respond to the Fateful itself to negate or whatever. You can then just Lava Golem their board and even just get the equip off Fateful and then bounce the Lava Golem back to your hand. It's really nuts. So. And then I took a little bit of a different direction. This side deck is a little bit more tailored to helping what the deck hard loses to. So we're playing triple Twin Twister and what would be triple Cosmic Cyclone. I can't find my third, so I threw in my Lightning Storm for now. But this deck has a really big problem with floodgates, like when they hard open the anti-spell or summon limit or zombie world. Like if you don't hit the Brave package, like it's really hard for this deck to get around that. So playing cards like Twin and Cosmic is just really, really important for the deck. So yeah, that is it for the main extra side. We'll go ahead and just hop into a few of the key interactions of the deck. Okay, so the first main interaction I want to talk about is just the amount of cards that say discard or send. You play so many of those between the 3 Foxy, the 3 Etelli, Fateful, right, 3 Enchantress, Foolish, the 2 Karos, the 2 Droplet, Jet, Double Z Ammon. Like almost over half your deck says discard or send, which makes cards like Nerval absolutely insane and super free, and Kit very insane and very free. One of the most powerful things you can do in this deck is send a card like Foxy. If they don't do it and stop it, sending one of these two just puts them in such a really disadvantaged position because they're either forced to stop this and deal with then the full Hulk line into access code or just the Scythe lock. And if they don't deal with, and they deal with the Punk Engine instead, they're still in the full try line to something like, Apollosa for 2, Herald Omni Negate plus Revolt. So they're in a really tight spot. Same thing with Fabled Cerebral. The only thing to note is that Cerebral only works with cards that say discard. So specifically that in this version is only going to be Karos and the Bearbrum in the extra deck. The rest say send. So just note that if you're using this, it has to be from Karos or Bear, but typically you're only searching this when you're doing the Bear line anyway. But if you do hard open these two, that's fine. This being a tuner is also really important to note, getting that out of the deck too for Hulk if you really, really need it. It's just something that you can do. I've considered upping this to 2 because of some weird interactions with tuners and things like that, but you don't really need it for now. But that's the first interaction, is the discards are absolutely insane in this deck. Okay, the second interaction I want to point out is just the synchro synergy of the deck, just for people who may not be aware. There are a few notable ones that are somewhat obvious, but I just want to make sure I make people aware, is that Z-Ammon and Karos are both Earth. That's your primary way you utilize Nat Beast. Herald has become a really important addition to the deck. That can work with Cerebral as your tuner and then any level 2. So you're typically using Karos or Kit to make Herald. Usually it will be Kit based on how you do your combo, but that's just something to note. And then, of course, Herald also can be made with both Z-Ammon and Nerval, should your hands be a little bit more interesting. If you can't afford to go to the Punk line or the Hulk line or whatever, and you just still need something, that is a way to get to Herald. And then, obviously, Z-Ammon can also synergize with our Griffin Rider to get a card like Baron. So, kind of obvious, but just wanted to point out that there's a lot of ways that all these cards tie together. It's not just you have to do this line to get to A, to B, to C. All of these kind of intermingle in a very beautiful way. So I just want to make sure I point that out. Okay, and just the only other main interaction I want to point out just before we hop into the test hands is just some math behind the deck. And the most notable one is Kairos. And just I wanted to make sure I clarify to people that we have enough ways to get a beast to discard off of Kairos should we need it. Every single card you see laid out here either says is a beast that you can discard off of Kairos, obviously, or beast or a wing beast, sorry, like Fractal, Kit, Nerval, obviously Cerebral, Griffin, Foxy Toon, obviously being a beast in that realm as well, or has you get you a way to get there. That's through Emergency Teleport, Fateful Rite, Enchantress, Foolish Burial, Tenkies, Ogre Dance, Yaman. All of these get you a way there. So well over half your deck is a way to discard for Kairos. So you have well over a 90% chance, almost 100% chance of getting a discard for this card guaranteed should you open it. And that's also very important because seeing at least 2 from this pile is extremely high as well. So that way you're having that, you just have freedom to work with whatever you want. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. The deck is at 41. We do run a total of 14 Tri-Brigade names. The full package as close to it as possible, not counting Kairos, or not counting 3 Kairos, I should say. In a 41 card deck, that's like 89.5%. You're pretty close there. You're looking at almost 90%. If you do want to cut this to 40, you could cut out a card like the one of Called by the Grave or just a different card of your choice. But you're built to in such a way that you can almost always have stuff going live. The Punk engine, you have 9 cards there, plus the Brave engine. You have 7 starters in that, so that's 15 there. That's hitting you that 90% mark as well. So you're pretty much like almost right at that 90% mark of seeing 2 engines no matter what. You have that 90% chance of hitting Tri-Brigade, and then a 90% chance of hitting either the Brave or the Punk. So you always have those 2 things happening at once, so you should always have room to play. Just wanted to kind of showcase the math of the deck and how it's built and where that comes from. And with all that said, let's go ahead and showcase a quick basic combo or 2 and then just hop directly into the test hands. Okay, we'll go ahead and showcase the first combo, which is just a refresher on the Tri-Brigade combo. This works should you have specifically Fractal or any way to put 4 Beast Warrior, Wing Beasts in the grave. That could be contributed partway through what you open, plus some of the Punk engine, since Foxy's a beast, if you want to dump a couple in there that way. If you're using Griffin to synchro for Baron first as a way to get the 4th name, then before comboing, that's one way to do it. I'm going to showcase the most simple version, which is just Fractal by itself, plus another name to discard. This doesn't have to be a tri name. It can be literally any other name. So I'll just showcase that really quick. First thing is first, you will discard the Fractal. And I'll make sure everything is on screen a little bit, and we'll slide stuff down a little bit just to make that a little bit better here. So we have our hand here. We'll go ahead and get rid of the Fractal. Using Fractal's effect, we will go ahead and send Kit from our deck to our grave, and then Nerval from our deck to our grave, and then add Kairos from our deck to our hand. From here, we can use Kairos's effect, discarding the Kit to special summon the Kairos. From here, we will go ahead and banish 4 names for Kairos and special summon from the extra deck. Give us just a little bit more breathing room there. Zoom out a little bit. And we will go ahead and get Shureg to the field. From there, that is a quick link 2 with Shureg and Kairos. This is obviously a going first combo. We will get rid of those 2 in the grave. And then we will special summon from the extra deck our Bear Brum. Now, Kairos's effect, or sorry, not Kairos, Shureg's effect will trigger, allowing us to add from our deck to our hand a level 4 or lower because we have 4 banished here. And we will just typically grab the Cerebral from deck to hand. It can be anything, but the most optimal choice, should you not already have it, is the Cerebral. From here, we can use Bear's effect, discarding 2 cards, and special summoning back the Kit. You could pick a different one, but I like Kit for some reason in my brain. Also trying to think ahead for splites. You can get 2 level 2s here. Cerebral's mandatory effect will trigger, bringing itself back. From here, you can go ahead and synchro if you would like, but I like to use Kit's effect first, banishing 2 more, which is the Shureg and the Kairos we used earlier. Now we have just the 1 blank in our graveyard, and then we can special summon. In this case, it would be DDL. So you have 2 ways you can approach this right now. Again, if you feel like you have more space, this could typically be Farigate instead of the DDL, but it just depends on how you want to do it. I will typically still do this and link it away anyway, because I think that the Appaloosa plus the Revolt is a little bit better. But before you do anything else, the obviously big telegraph here is they need to nib now or they won't be able to nib at all. And even if they do, you still at least get revolt off of the Bear Brum. But we will go ahead and synchro for synchro for 4 using both our level 2s and special summon our Herald of the Arclight. Zoning doesn't really matter here. And then what you can do is you can go ahead and link the Bear Brum and your other link 2 of choice, whether that was DDL or Farragut or something else, to then special summon from your extra deck to the field in Apollosa for 2 negates. And then Bear Brum searches you the Revolt. So you'll add that from your deck to your hand and then put 1 card back. So we go ahead and grab our Revolt wherever that is. And we will go ahead and add that to our hand. And then you can put 1 blank back depending on whatever that is. And then you still have 1 card in hand. So it's an Apo for 2, a Herald, and a Tri-Brigade getting you Shureg. So a non-targeting, non-destructive banish, an Omni negate, and 2 monster negates. So 4 disruptions plus a blank card. So you can essentially traded 4 for 4, which is not terrible right now. And if this is the Brave engine, you realize that we have still not normal summoned, so you could do stuff like that, depending on where they hand trap you or however they do it. If it's the Punk engine, whatever, just a defensive card. But the point is you have a spare card still to use. So that is the first combo. Okay, and for our second combo, I will just go ahead and showcase the Hulk line. You could do this with any 1 card of the Punk engine, Xiamen, Foxy, E-Telly, or Ogre Dance, depending on how the deck is built. I'm going to showcase it with Foxy because that is the worst of every example to still show you this is still how you can do it. But you just note that if you hard start with the Foxy, you just need to be able to spend more discards. So you'll start with Foxy discarding itself and then a blank. Obviously, if this was a Tri-Brigade discard, a Brave discard, any one of those, you're going to get a lot of payoff from that. But you will nonetheless discard both. Go ahead and get the Xiamen from your deck to the field, and then pay your 600 in cost for Xiamen's effect, to then add the Ogre Dance from your deck to your hand. This is why we run it now. Discarding the Ogre Dance to then add a second Xiamen from your deck to your hand, and then since you've not normal summoned yet, you will normal summon. From there, you can link 2 and go ahead and summon your Hulk of Fibrax from your extra deck, and then Hulk will trigger to special summon the Jet Synchron from your deck to the field. Go ahead and grab the Jet from our deck to the field here, plop it down right here, and then we will go ahead and link Jet away and make our link Karibo. And then from there, we can use Jet's effect, discarding another blank from our hand to special summon it back, and then we can get rid of the link Karibo and the Jet for our Dagda. And then that's it. You have 2 blanks in hand. Obviously, you'll probably have 1 extra card if you don't have to start with Foxy, but overall, it still pretty much evens out to be the same. But Foxy is obviously the hardest one to start with, but at least your normal summon hasn't been eaten up should they stop something at that point. But then from here on your opponent's turn, you obviously trigger Hulk's effect, banishing itself, chaining Dagda to then set the Scythe from your deck to the field. And then what you will do is you will go ahead and get your TG Wonder Magician. TG Wonder Magician effect will pop the Scythe. Scythe effect will trigger Engrave, bringing itself back, activating its effect on field, and then you can synchro away with the Wonder Magician to make your Baron. So that's a Scythe lock and an Omni negate from that. Obviously, you could not have to go to Dagda. You could go straight into a card like Access Code if you're going second is one option. But again, that's the going first piece of that. And with that said, I think everything else is a little bit more complex depending on how you open your hand. So what we will do is we will go ahead and shuffle up and do a few test hands. Okay, we just finished power shuffling up here, giving this a few more quick shuffles, and then we'll go ahead and see what we are working with. I'm going to try to do it in a pretty good mirrored view, but for our opening hand, we hit Scythe, Kit, Droplet, Foxy, and Droplet. This is not great, but is actually still doable, and I'll kind of showcase why. So obviously our main play, obviously going second, I would go ahead and just shotgun the Droplet, but we're going to assume we'll go first since we have our 5-card hand. we will go ahead and do Foxy discarding kit. Obviously opening double droplet means I need new sleeves and that I did not shuffle enough. But we will go ahead and do that to get our Z Ammon from the deck to the field. And a new chain kit will activate to send us from our deck to our grave a copy of Nerval. And then Nerval's effect will trigger in a new chain to add us a copy of Kairos from our deck to our hand. And then we can obviously trigger Z Ammon, pay 600, and then from here we have not normal summon, so we can go one of two ways. We can search the second Z Ammon to then just normal summon and go the full Hulk line, or we could just search, we could search Ogre Dance and then go that line, or we could go ahead and search Foxy Tune. I am going to, in this case, search another copy of Foxy Tune, and you'll see why in a second, just to kind of showcase the different options that you can go in this version. So from here, I would go ahead and discard for Kairos to special summon itself to the field. And now you can go a couple different ways here. You could Kairos effect banish 2 and then synchro into a card like Nat Beast. I will attempt to do that, and we'll just showcase two different options here. We'll go ahead and banish 2, and then what you could do is you can go into a card like Double Dragon Lords or Bear Brum, depending on your preference. And then what we could do from here actually is what we will do is we'll just show the bear first. Bear could discard the droplet and the scythe to then bring back ideally the kit that we should have banished. We can leave Nerval in the grave. It doesn't really matter. We could actually, no, we can bring back Nerval. I think that's perfectly fine. Go ahead and bring back the Nerval. And then we can go ahead and use Nerval's effect, banishing the kit and the other Foxy to get a DDL to the board. And then we could do a few different things here. What I would think about doing if you want to, you don't want the droplet, you could always link the bear away and get a revolt through making Apollosa or through making Rugal. But the other thing that you could also do here is synchro these two into a Herald, or you can synchro these two into a Naturia Beast. So it really just depends on your preference. In this case, we'll just get rid of the droplet just to showcase something different. We will go ahead and get rid of these two synchro-wise, and we will make a Nat Beast here. And then you could go ahead and get rid of these two if you want for a card. I keep putting stuff in the wrong spot, sorry. We'll go ahead and make a Rugal. And I know my zones are a little off. I'm playing upside down. Sorry about that. And then we can obviously trigger to add our Revolt from our deck to our hand. And in this case, it's up to you if you want to do Rugal in DDL or just an Apollosa for 2 in DDL plus Nat Beast. Of course, the other route we could have done is the full Hulk combo. But just to showcase how there's a lot of different directions this deck can go depending on where you're hand trapped. Most people are going to hand trap the Kairos because they know you've already used, or it's like you've already, dedicated a lot of lines to that. And if you're not normal summoning a Tri and you already banished 4, even if you have your normal summon Tri Brigade, you can't banish anything from grave. So they're typically going to shotgun that Valor or that Imperm on Kairos, and that's when you can keep going, depending on whichever way you want. Something like this, or something like the Hulk line with the Scythe Lock with a droplet as follow-up might even be a little bit more powerful. But I'd rather showcase something a little bit less than that, just on the first combo to showcase some of the basics. Second test hand, we have Kairos, Kit, Scythe again, glued to our hand, Jesus Christ, and right. So this is going to look maybe a little bit different, but I have a few different ideas of how I want to approach this. The first and foremost thing is I'm going to activate the right, and I will get to our field a copy of Fateful Adventure along with our token that I will grab a token for. And then from there, what we will do is I'm actually going to go ahead and shotgun the Kairos here, discarding the kit, specialing the Kairos, and then we will go ahead and trigger. Depending on how you want to do this, I'm going to do Kit as Chainlink 1 and Fateful as Chainlink 2 to help block the kit. Of course, that won't matter in the grand scheme of things because if they want to stop the Nerval, they're going to stop the Nerval. Go ahead and add the Draco back, and then Nerval's effect will go ahead and add us a name. Doesn't really matter in this case. I'm just going to get Fractal because it is a different name. And then from there, we can do a couple different things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use the Fateful Adventure. We want to go ahead and insulate our plays as much as we can. We will add the Griffin, and I will go ahead and discard the Fractal just to get an extra name engraved should we decide that we need it. So from there, we can go ahead and special summon the Griffin. And now you can do a couple different things here. You could go ahead and just use the Kairos and banish 2 to then, get another body on board and kind of keep going. I'm actually just going to utilize the Scythe this time since we haven't. I'll go ahead and Foolish Burial, one of those awkward hands where you just can showcase something random to do, but it will still work nonetheless, which is why we run cards like Foolish Burial, is to send Jet Synchron. And then from there, we can discard the Draco back to bring back the Jet Synchron. And then Draco back itself can re-equip. And then we can obviously synchro away the Jet and the Kairos to go ahead and make our Halqifibrax. And then Halqifibrax can trigger if you want. It doesn't really matter in this case. We did cut the Ogre for a card like Cerebral, so that would kind of normally be what you would get off here in that case is Ogre. But I will still go ahead and just get the Z Ammon from our deck, just in case they don't deal with it. We have follow-up for next turn in the form of that as well. And then we set the Scythe so we can still do the Baron lock on our opponent's turn. So this is still Scythe, lock plus Baron plus Griffin, which is not terrible for a little bit of a second awkward hand, believe it or not. But again, just showcasing the deck's ability to kind of adapt and mold depending on what situation we're in. And then we'll go ahead and showcase our third hand, hopefully a little bit more comprehensive and a little bit more of kind of a starter from each package here. So we will go ahead and give this a shuffle for just a little bit and go ahead and wrap it up here and cut in and see what our next test hand has for us here. Give that a cut, and we are looking for no Scythe this time. That would be nice. So we have Nerval, which is great. Right is fine. E-Telly is amazing. Right is okay. And Griffin. This is always my luck. Whatever Brave deck I build, it's always opening like multiple Brave pieces all the time. Whether it's 40, 50, 60, it doesn't matter. I just automatically have to open Brave. That's how it works. But this hand is great. I cannot complain. This does a lot. So we'll obviously start by opening up with the right here. Go ahead and there's no need to chain the Griffin at this point. We don't really need to do that. We will go ahead and just get the Fateful straight to our field. And then we'll go ahead and get the token. I'm playing upside down, so I'm going to try to keep it a little bit normally to what I do even in the mirrored section here. And then we will go ahead and activate the Griffin, special summon it, activate Fateful, and go ahead and get our Draco back from our deck to our hand. And now we are safe to do whatever we want. But before we do any of that, I will go ahead and emergency teleport. And we will get a Z Ammon to our field. Go ahead and put this guy right here. And then we can go ahead and, I do have stuff a little bit backwards there. Sorry about that. We'll go ahead and pay the 6 for Z Ammon to add the Foxy from our deck to our hand. And then we can do a few different things here, but I will go ahead and Foxy, discarding the Nerval, I believe. I'm thinking about this for a second. Actually, no, we're going to do something a little bit different. We'll go ahead and Fateful first, just to showcase a little bit roundabout way of doing this. We will get the Water Enchantress, and then we will discard the Nerval. Nerval's effect will trigger, and we will go ahead and add, this will be a lot better, I think. Nerval's effect will trigger, we will add the Kairos. And then from here, we will go ahead and special the Water Enchantress first. If you wanted to do Nat Beast, you could go ahead and do that this way, but I'm going to hold these for a second, and you'll see why in a minute. I will go ahead and link these two away, our Water Enchantress and our Z Ammon, and I keep grabbing the wrong pile, for our Halqifibrax. Halqifibrax will trigger, and we will be able to get the full Scythe line plus Tri-Brigade this time, which is even a little bit better. Go ahead and get our Jet Synchron from our deck to our field. From there, we can link the Jet Synchron away to special summon the Link Karibo from our deck to our field. And then we will go ahead and discard for Jet. We can do whatever we want here. I will go ahead and discard the Draco back. A lot of times though, nowadays with Mystic Mine and a few other floodgates running around, it is a little bit smarter to hold the Draco back, and you can even get away with that right now. And I'll just go ahead and try to get away with it by discarding the right instead to bring back the Jet, simply because we have the Water Enchantress engraved from earlier that we can just go ahead and add the right back. But then from here, we can go ahead and link these two away. Go ahead and get rid of that. Jet will get banished, and then we can special summon our Dagda to the field. And then from here, what we can do is we can discard the Foxy for a Kairos, and then we can go ahead and use Kairos's effect, and we can banish 2 in the form of both Foxy and the form of Nerval. And we will go ahead and banish those. And then we can special summon. We could do a couple different things here, but I'm actually going to get Bear here, and I'll explain why in a minute. I know we're not going to obviously get the full. So you could do a few different things here. Revolt for you could get. Sorry, I can't even speak. Jesus, you can get Bear to then get rid of these 2 for Rugal and then Revolt, or you can just get DDL. Both are perfectly fine. The only issue is that even if you were to clear up zones right next turn, Hulk will go away, and Wonder Magician will go, and then you will get Scythe out, and those all 3 will still become barren, so that will be clogged here, and then Griffin could go away. So at most you're going to have 3 zones open, which is not great to get to Shureg. So in this case, I am going to just use the Kairos for a double Dragon Lord. Now you could still do Revolt if you want as a source of follow-up and just kind of save that. That's most certainly something else you could do instead. But this is the end board here for our third test hand. So we have DDL as a bounce. We'll have a Scythe Lock and a Baron. We will have an Omni Negate in the form of Griffin on top of that, with ideally plenty of follow-up next turn for whatever Baron can bring back from our graveyard. So that was a pretty decent showcasing of that. And we are able to add the Revolt reminder just because we have not used the Water Enchantress yet. So if we wanted to, we could banish the Water Enchantress, add the right, link that, and should we have made Bear off to get the Rugal and then add the Revolt that way. So that is definitely just one way you could do it as well. So that is our third test hand. We will go ahead and put stuff back and do one more final test hand. We'll go ahead and shuffle this up and take a look at our final test hand. So we're working with a Droplet, Water Enchantress, Fractal, Water Enchantress, and Rite of Aramis here. This is not good. We're not doing that. Go ahead and finish giving this a quick shuffle, and we will take a look at our final test hand. So we are working with a Tenki, which is great, Xiamen, which is perfect, Foolish Burial, Rite of Aramis here, and Kairos. This actually does pretty much everything we want. So we'll take it in a few different directions here. I think the play is always to start with the right. We will get our token, and then we will activate our Fateful directly from our deck to the field. Go ahead and grab that. And then thinking about how we want to utilize the Punk engine here. I think this is one of the few times where I might just save it and utilize it for Nat Beast. But we will see. I kind of want to get some more value right now before we move forward. So I am going to just normal summon the Z and use the Fateful to get the equip here just to save the discard and get the name on the board. This is just a showcasing of where we use the Punk engine should we not be able to use the effects under right. But then we'll go ahead and use the Fateful and just add our Griffin from our deck to our hand. And in this case, I think it is perfectly fine to discard the Draco back and equip it to the token. These are instances where I wish I had played Souls, but every time I see Souls, then I don't see stuff like this, so it's just awkward. But anyways, we'll go ahead and special summon that Griffin, and we forgot to add off a Tenki. That was my bad, but we will add the Fractal off a Tenki, obviously. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and discard Fractal, and then we can obviously send the Kit, and then send the Nerval, and in this case, we'll just go ahead and grab something else. We'll grab another we'll just grab another fractal. It does not really matter in this case. And so in this case, you really need an extra card to fully get the value of the Bearbrum Cerebral line. You want that extra because you're discarding 2, and then you still need 1 to put back for Bear. And in this case, you wouldn't have it. You would have 0 cards in hand at that point. So we're just going to do something a little bit different. We're going to discard the Fractal to special summon the Keros here. And then you could, if you want, still attempt the Shureg and Bear line here. I'll kind of showcase what that looks like if you do, and kind of where I would go instead. But we will, because if you do this line, you don't get access to Nat Beast, and in this case, I really kind of want the Nat Beast, but we'll do it anyway. We'll banish the 4 into Shureg here, and then what we can do is we can go ahead and link these 2 away to then special summon our Bear from the deck. And I think our zones are a little bit scuffed up here. In reality, this stuff should have been moved over. I'm playing upside down, so it doesn't really help. But nevertheless, you kind of get the idea here. Shureg would search us the Cerebral from our deck to our hand. And then we could discard 2 to special summon something back. Ideally, it's just going to be Kit because we want the level 2. And then Cerebral mandatory comes back here. And then we could do a little bit of different things here. You could technically use these 2 to go into Hulk if you really wanted, but that doesn't really get you anywhere. Or sorry, I meant these 2 to go into Hulk, and then you would get, and this is where the second Cerebral comes up too, because you would want something else. But again, it's just, you can't really do it. So typically here you would just make Herald, but then you're left on this random dead Xiamen. So I say all that to kind of say that's why I prefer to rewind a bit, and instead of just doing that and banishing 4 for the Shureg, is just, you know, keeping it a bit more conservative for this type of a hand, is just banishing 2 and going straight into a card like DDL. And then from there, getting rid of these 2 to end on a card like Nat Beast. And I feel much more comfortable here ending on Nat Beast because it's such a powerful card, and you have an Omni Negate and a way to protect it from being run over. So I feel a lot more comfortable ending it on a board like this. So yeah. And that is it for the little bit of the deck update, deck analysis, interactions, combos, test hands. I hope this brought a little bit of light to you on the deck. I hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to my pup, Remy. He's going to be 1 year old tomorrow, putting him right here for you guys to see. Wish him a happy birthday. But yeah, next week I start the Road to National series on my channel, kind of showcasing how I'm prepping for it, a little bit of meta analysis, meta update, different things like that. I think it'll be really cool. So with all that said, thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment. It really helps the channel. And I will see you all in the next one. Later.